Romans 8:19 says, "For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God." The word creature is also accurately translated the creation, and is really the point here. The earnest expectation of the creation. What is the creation? Everything that God created that was influenced by the fall when men rebelled against God in the garden, the physical earth and all life upon it, not only animal life but plant life as well. That is the creation. It was not until after man sinned and was driven out of the garden that God cursed the ground. He said in the 3rd chapter of Genesis, "Cursed is the ground for your sake, Adam. Briars and thistles will it bring forth, and by the sweat of your face you will make your living until you go back to dust, because you were taken from the dust, and to the dust you shall return." Now this curse came upon man as a result of the fall. But it also came upon the creation as the result of the fall. Briars and thistles shall it bring forth. There is no biblical indication that animals were carnivorous and preyed on one another before the fall, and no doubt they didn't. There's no indication that trees ever grew old, rotted, and fell down. The beautiful garden, being in perfection, was immune to corruption and the dying process. Death was not a part of the creation experience. Death was brought into experience of this creation by man's rebellion against God, and so God imposed death upon the creation. That's what we're being told here. Now, why did God do that? The creation had not sinned. No. But everything is in an ordained order in the morality and integrity of God and His workings and truth. And everything must remain consistent with its created purpose and position in that order. God created this earth for man to live on. That is why the universe is here, and for no other reason. He put vegetables and the fruit trees on the earth for man's food, and non-fruit-bearing plants for beauty upon the earth. He put the stars, the sun, the moon, and other bodies in the heavens to give light upon the earth, and to be for signs, and for the markings of seasons, years, and days, for the benefit of man. The destiny of the earth, mission of the creation, was to minister to man in the image of God. Now, in humanistic thought, whether secular or religious, this gets twisted. Ungodly man comes up with pagan ideas. In today's sacrilegious and irreverent theories, man is here for the benefit of the earth. We came from the earth. We serve the earth. Mother Earth is our creator, and we are for her good. Well, that is, of course, not true. It's exactly the opposite of truth. The earth was created for man, and man was given both the permission and the commandment by the Creator to make it submit to Him and obey Him. Man was not created for the earth at all. But with this privilege and dominion came responsibility and consequence. Man was responsible for the earth, and the destiny of the earth was inextricably intertwined with that of man. And so when man fell, God in His goodness said, in effect, I will impose this same death and corruption upon the earth involuntarily, because the animals did not sin, the plants did not sin, the sun, the moon, and the stars did not sin, man sinned. And because I'm imposing this upon them voluntarily, so that the sun burns out and the tree falls in the forest and the flower withers and the lion kills the antelope, I will also impose upon them unwillingly the hope of someday being delivered from this bondage of death and corruption. In this way, the universe can yet realize the purpose for which it was created, to be the dwelling place of, the servant of, and the confederate of man. For the creature was made subject to vanity. Vanity means emptiness, the inability to attain and be fulfilled. The creature was made subject to vanity not willingly, but by reason of him who subjected the same in hope. This is the 20th verse of chapter 8. In its own way, the whole creation is manifesting this truth of waiting for the day when the change will come. St. Peter said that we look for the day of the Lord in the which the elements will melt with fervent heat. The earth and all the works that are therein will be burned up and destroyed. The heavens will pass away with a great noise, and all these things shall be dissolved and will be no more. Those who teach that the earth will not be destroyed are guilty of opposing themselves and working against a very important and defined biblical truth, that of the death of the old and the birth of the new. In their ignorant desire to preserve the universe, they are taking from it the only hope that it has of continued existence. But because in the case of the creation the deliverance is involuntarily, they can only do this in their own minds. This will not hurt the creation, but it's bad for those who teach this way. We don't want to keep some patched up and piecemeal version of the old. Do you want to get to be 90 years old and then suddenly have God say, I'll stop the corruption process in you, I'll patch up that broken leg, I'll restore half the sight to your eye, and I'll freeze you right in that position, and I'll let you go on like that forever with your ulcers and your gout and your limp and so on? Is that what you want? Do you want that with this earth? Do we want an earth forever that has been corrupted and polluted and all the other blights that mortality has brought upon it? Of course not. Well, whether we want it or not, we would not get it, because God is going to destroy it. St. Peter said that God is going to make a new creation. We look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwells righteousness. And so all of the creation around us, in its own way, is groaning under the burden of corruption now and longing for the time of deliverance in the future. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered. Now listen, you want to know whether they're going to be animals in the new creation or not? Listen. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of the body. This is Romans chapter 8, verses 21 through 23. The whole creation waits for the manifestation. That means the coming time of the putting into view of, or the bringing into reality of, the sons of God. Because the creature, or the creation itself, shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. Now, does that mean that there are going to be animals and plants and trees in the new creation? Well, of course it does. There's no doubt about it. It's time that this Platonic Gnostic myth that has inhabited Christian thinking for far too long, that everything material and physical is inevitably evil, it's time these myths are proscribed from the doctrines of the Orthodox Church. We look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwells righteousness. Oh, but maybe that's not where heaven is going to be. Maybe that's not where God is going to be. Maybe that's not where we're going to be in the eternity of the future. Well, the book of Revelation resolves that issue. St. John said, I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle, that means the dwelling place of God, is with men, and he shall dwell with them. And they shall be his people, and God shall be with them, and be their God. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. That's Revelation chapter 21, verse 5. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. Actually, that was verse 4. This is verse 5. We just read verses 2 through 5 of Revelation 21. The heavenly city came down from God out of heaven and rested upon the new earth, the regenerated, the reborn, the newly created earth, not a renovated, reformed, or reworked earth as in the Old Testament, since by the cross and the resurrection, this is an earth born again in immortality by death, burial, resurrection, just as all things in the New Testament are. God and man joined together physically, as even in the regeneration we are now joined together spiritually and live together forever in the physical reality of this new creation. In this new creation there are going to be trees, there are going to be animals, there are going to be plants, there are going to be rivers. But there are not going to be any plants that will sting you, nothing to eat that will poison you, and no snakes that are going to fang you. In fact, there will be no serpents at all as a result of the irrevocable curse against the serpent, the representative of the devil, for its part in the deception in the Garden of Eden. The serpent was cursed and excluded before the promise for redemption was made, a promised redemption of which the crushing of the serpent's head is an integral part. There are not going to be any lions that are going to kill any antelopes, and no trees that are going to rot and fall on your head. Why not? Because the creation is delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. God didn't create these things to have them grow old and rot and die and get polluted and get eroded off into the seas. God created them to last. It was man's evil that brought death and corruption upon the creation. But through Jesus Christ, God has brought deliverance and new life even for the creation itself. But at the present time, we do not see that. We see the creation patiently waiting and suffering along with us. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. A man and a woman meet. They begin to go out. They fall in love. And they decide to get married and raise a family. Now this girl has to make a decision. Is she willing to suffer the agony, the pain, and whatever humiliation there might be considered to be with being pregnant and carrying a child and giving birth to this child in order to have a family? No woman gets with child because she likes to suffer the travail of childbirth or to have her physical being distorted in this way while she's carrying this child. She does it because she and her husband want a family. And so she suffers this momentary inconvenience for the joys and the rewards that will come. This is how it is with us in the present time and with the whole creation as well. The agonies of the present time are tolerated because that is necessary in order to reach the goal. Just as the woman suffers the travail and pain in order to bear the child, so the creation is suffering the outrages and indignities of the present time patiently waiting for the day when the deliverance will come. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves, groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of the body. You may say that now we are Christians and we have the first fruits of the Spirit. We are born into the family of God, and in a certain sense the change has already taken place. We have already been taken out of the kingdom of darkness and translated into the kingdom of His Son. We are no longer fallen and sinful creatures in the total sense, but we have the new birth. Well, that is of course true, but even so, we still agonize under the limitations of this physical body. We get toothaches and earaches and indigestion and sore knees and backaches and fatigues from toil and so on. And we say, oh, for the day when we will be reborn in immortality and we'll have that immortal body and everything will be perfect physically. We will be done with this weary toil. And it will be only joys and delights forevermore. Don't you look forward to that? Well, I can tell you for certain that I do. We long for the adoption physically, just like we have already been adopted spiritually. We long for the birth, you see. This is what we're talking about. To be born physically into God's family, even as now we are born spiritually. Woe unto those poor souls who do not believe that we will have a physical body in the resurrection. My, what a tragedy! Man is not a conceivable being without a body in which to live. We long for the redemption of the body, and we will have it. The birth, the adoption, if you please. In the resurrection, we will be made physically immortal. And what keeps us going is that hope. The Bible, again, does not use the word hope in the sense of doubt. We're not talking about something that we do not know for sure will happen, but only hope will happen. We're talking about something that we know will happen, but it has not happened yet. The realization that it will happen someday is what keeps us going. I've often illustrated this truth in this way. The thing that kept me going when I was in school was the hope of summer vacation. Just so many more months and I'd be out and I could go hunt birds and fish and so on. I read about these power brokers who want to steal your children, and make no mistake, that's what's behind it, and to control them by getting them into school for 12 months a year, and my heart goes out to those kids. Had it not been for the hope of summer vacation, I would never have gotten through that 9 months of school. I can tell you that. I could say to myself, well, not too much longer now, and you see, that's the way hope works. I think it ought to be a felony to even talk about 12-month schools. There are other illustrations. Maybe you're driving late at night and you're trying to get home from a trip. You're so tired you just ache. You anxiously watch the signs, and home keeps getting a little closer. You just want to pull off the road and rest, but your anticipation keeps you going. If you can just hang in there, you'll soon be there. This is hope as the Bible uses the word. And that is what we are doing in this world. We are saved by hope. For those who are committed to Christ and undergoing the sufferings of the cross as well as the physical pressures of the present time, they have that to look forward to, and that is what keeps them going. There are times when this is a difficult concept for people to grasp because they like it here and they don't want to leave. They say, I'm not groaning in this body. I'm not longing to be out of here and have that immortal body. I just as soon stay. Well, there are momentary breakdowns of confidence, of faith, and of sanity in God's people, but in the long term, we understand the point well, even if we don't like to think about it. Recently, I've been spending some time with an old friend who lives out in the country. He's 94 years old. He's a tough old gentleman, but he's just wearing out. And he's near the end of his days. A while back, I was sitting with him on the porch when he said, "Oh, I'd like to be out of here. I'd like to be gone. I'd like to be home and through with all this trouble," or words to that general effect. You cannot escape the reality of what the apostle is saying because it's all around us. Even though we're Christians, we do not see physical immortality yet, and we long for it. If you don't feel that way, you better start reassessing your Christian faith, because St. Paul said in the 1 Corinthian letter that if in this life only we had hope, we would be the most miserable of all people. The Christian hope is based upon the reality of Judgment Day and the change and the coming of immortality, the destruction of the heavens and the earth and man upon it, and the physical rebirth of the heavens and the earth and all of those who belong to God through Jesus Christ into those new and immortal bodies. Don't let anybody deceive you on this score with vain words. 1 Corinthians 15:44-53 says, "It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body." There is a natural body, and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul, and the last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterwards that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthy. The second man is the Lord from heaven. And as is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy. And as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the earthy, that's Adam, this present body, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trump shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. And this is telling us even people that are alive when the Lord returns will die. They've got to get out of this mortal body to get into that immortal body. There is a heavenly body, and it's physical. We shall have it, and we shall bear the image of Christ, as there has been an earthly body in which we have borne the image of Adam. And so we're looking for that, and we're longing for it. Even so, the purpose of this passage has not been to speak on the subject of the heavens and the earth or the coming new earth, nor to speak specifically upon the inferiority of the mortal body. The method here has been to use these 2 points to illustrate what is the text and the context of this passage. We read now verses 24-26. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for? But if we hope for that which we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. Likewise, the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities, for we know not what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit itself maketh intercessions for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Likewise, in the same manner, in the same way that the creation is looking forward to the change, in the same way that a faithful Christian is longing for the day when he will be delivered from this mortal scene into the immortal, where there is only peace and joy forevermore, so the Holy Spirit within us is longing for a deliverance in our lives from the old ways into the new creation. It's the same longing in kind, but for a different time and a different purpose.